The purpose of Chapter 2 is to take the financial statements of the province and do some analysis of indicators of sustainability, flexibility, and vulnerability as one way to look at the province's financial condition and trends. I want to say at the outset that the point of this work is not to comment on current or past government decisions. Really, it is analysis of the numbers only. Of course, these numbers alone are only part of the story, but they are an important part. I believe the information in this chapter can generate discussion and questions on past performance and what it means for the future. The government itself produces a lot of good financial information and analysis in the public accounts that Nova Scotians can use. I do this report because users of our work have asked me to do so, and they have told me that they find this information useful. Indicators suggested by Canada's Public Sector Accounting Board relating to sustainability, flexibility, and vulnerability are used in this chapter to report on the financial condition of the province. Firstly, in terms of sustainability, we look at the province's ability to maintain existing services without having to increase revenues or take on new debt. And you really have to look at the last 10 years and the last 5 years as two separate periods of time, because each period tells a different story. Over the 10-year period, most indicators show a worsening trend. For example, the province incurred a cumulative deficit of $575 million, and net debt went up $2.7 billion, while the net debt to GDP ratio decreased over that same period by 0.6 percentage points. Now, over the last 5 years, we have seen improvements. For example, the province incurred a cumulative surplus of $340 million. Net debt increased by only $200 million, and net debt to GDP decreased by 4.1 percentage points. Secondly, in terms of flexibility, we look at the province's ability to increase revenues or take on new debt. Over the last 10 years, the interest paid annually on long-term debt averaged $742 million per year. Over the last 5 years, we see that interest on long-term debt averaged $741 million, so not a big change. And when you look at interest on long-term debt, the province has actually paid over $7.4 billion in interest during the past decade. My analysis is not meant to judge or question policy and other decisions made by the current or former governments, but to point out that as a result of past decisions, interest paid is what it is, and there's no avoiding it now, and that's why annual interest remains today at about $740 million per year. Thirdly, in terms of vulnerability, we look to give people a sense of how reliant the province is on revenue outside of its direct control. In this case, we look at federal transfers as a percentage of total revenue. The 10-year trend shows roughly that 1 out of every $3 in revenue comes from the federal government. And when we look at the 5-year trend, there's really not a significant change. Overall, these indicators give you some sense of the province's financial condition. If you pull these indicators together, I would say that over the last 10 years, the overall trend has been concerning, with the last 5 years showing positive signs, with many indicators having improved. Still, we can't lose sight of the 10-year period. These indicators provide Nova Scotians with further information to inform them as they ask their government questions and as they look to hold their government accountable for the current financial state and on the government's future plans. I have left Nova Scotians now with some questions they may wish to ask their government in relation to the financial analysis that we have provided in this chapter.